BBC Radio 5 Live is also available through your digital TV. Sky, Freeview, Freesat and Virgin Media are just some of the ways you can listen.
Now, when was the last time you were truly under pressure? If you listened to 5 Live Sport earlier on with Ellie, we were hearing some of the real top names in athletics and rowing and all sorts of things talking about being on the start line in a gold medal race. Now, how many of us have ever felt pressure like that? How many of us have ever been in that position in life when you've got one chance at anything? I can't honestly remember only having one chance at anything. Yes, Mike Williams.
Exams? One chance? I suppose you can do retakes, but...
Yeah, you've got to retake, but no, that's probably for most people. It's a good one, good analogy, yes, yeah. Keep your text coming in, 85055. Have you ever only had one chance at anything? How did you cope with the pressure? A documentary on BBC One tonight shows the Olympic gold medalist Victoria Pendleton admitting that she feels trapped by her success. The track cyclist said she feels the pressure to do well, partly because her partner Scott sacrificed his career for hers.
It was a really huge deal, and I think I'll be, like, forever in this debt. He's given up everything to be with me. You know, that means a lot. That's why I need to do him proud at the London Olympics as well. To prove that it wasn't, you know, in vain or for no reason, just that it was all worth it.
Oh. Do you know what? That's huge emotional, personal pressure as well as sporting pressure, that, isn't it? Because that phrase she used, I'll be forever in his debt. It's quite a lot to live up to, that, isn't it? Well, in contrast to Victoria, Bradley Wiggins, of course, tipped to become the first British man to win the Tour de France, possibly on Sunday, seems to be finding the mental side of things a bit of an easy ride.
You know, I think you can get so drawn in. This is life and death situation. I used to be like that on the track years ago when I was in Olympic finals, and when I went against Brad McGee, I thought, what am I going to do if I don't win this? What is going to happen? They're going to send me to the gallows, you know? When you're 23 years old, it really feels like that. But as you get older, you think your kids go home, they don't care, you know, they're not really bothered, you know. Those things help you handle these situations a lot better.
So is it all down to life experience? Why do some people seem able to cope with pressure better than others? How do you cope in a stressful situation? It might not be sporting, you might have the most stressful job on earth. What are your coping mechanisms? Give us some tips tonight, let us know. 0500 909 693. Rob Woollen is a life coach and personal trainer. Hello, Rob.
Hi, Tony.
Welcome to the programme. And Dr. Jennifer Wild is a psychologist. Hello, Jennifer.
Hello.
Jennifer, why do you think, having just listened to those clips and maybe watching them in action, why do you think Bradley Wiggins, for example, is coping so well while Victoria there was in tears?
Well, Victoria has, in my perspective, she has a lot more pressure on her. Her relationship, Scott gave up everything, his own cycling career, to be with her, and so she has that added pressure, not only of herself and her own goal of wanting to win the Olympics, but to do it for him as well, whereas Bradley doesn't have that in his history. So she has that added pressure. She also has so many previous wins, and she has the added pressure knowing that this is her final competition, so she wants to go out on a win, she wants to go out on a high, and so that just creates more pressure for her.
To a bystander like me, the more wins you get, you would think the pressure would be off. You've already done it all. What's expected of you anymore?
Well, in some ways, it builds your confidence, but in other ways, it makes it harder because it makes it harder to fail because you have these success experiences in the past. The expectation is higher. People's expectations are higher of you because they think, well, you won in the past, you can win now. It's going to be easy. When in reality, it's not easy. It's never easy to win. You have to go through enormous training, and you have to be in the mental headspace and in the emotional headspace, and it can be hard sometimes to bring those two together.
OK, now, Rob Woolen's here. Rob, we're not all Olympic athletes, let's be honest.
We're not. I'm certainly not.
No, we're not. We had a quick look round there, didn't you? But we're definitely not in this room, I can tell you that. But you take your coaching into the workplace as well, don't you? Where people do suffer stress as well, and for them it'll be as equally as important as the stress of being on a start line. So what do you say to people who are stressed out to the max? How do you get them down off the roof?
I think it's important to look at the distinction between it's very personal, it's all about your own perspective. So Bradley Wiggins and Victoria Pendleton's actual stress level, the actual pressure that's on them, may actually be quite similar. It's how they respond to it. So when they look at what the demands are on them, what they perceive to be the demands, if they think that's higher than the perceived resources, that's when they start to get detrimental stress.
What do you mean by that? Go on.
So if they think they haven't got the resources to cope with the pressure that's on them, that's when it becomes not good pressure.
In other words, I can't do this.
Yeah, so instead of motivating them, they start to get stressed and worried about it. So one of the ways people can deal with that is to actually take a bit of a step back and look at what is the real demand and what are your real resources. I think in the Victoria Pendleton interview, when the psychiatrist from British Cycling said to her, "You can change your thoughts. Do you want to do it?" And she did, and she went and won gold in I think it was Beijing that year.
Yeah, but a lot of people, I mean, there was Victoria in tears. A lot of people won't be able to admit that they can't cope. It's a difficult thing to do, certainly in a workplace, isn't it?
It's a very hard thing to do, especially at executive level. It's not the done thing to say, "I'm stressed and I can't cope." Having said that, we can build resilience. We can actually, taking a little bit of a drop sometimes and taking a knock is what gives us the tools to pick ourselves back up and build confidence to do it again. And
when we hear Victoria cry, Jennifer, is that one way of dealing with stress and letting it pour out of you, and then you maybe feel better after you've done it? Or is it a sign of weakness? I don't know.
It's certainly not a sign of weakness, and in this case, it's really important to express your emotion, and she's doing that, and she's also getting a lot of support, and that's really important as well, from the British cycling psychiatrist, who's really helped her over the years to recognise the thoughts that are really causing her distress, and to really change them, and to allow her to believe that she can cope, and to allow her to believe that she really is a winner and she can do it.
But what's interesting here, Jennifer, I'm thinking of ordinary people watching this programme tonight. We'll think, well, good on Victoria, and we love her, etc., etc., but she's got the help of a psychiatrist. An ordinary person in the street who's got a few problems at work and a bit of stress would not ever imagine going to a psychiatrist. And I guess in that instance, you either find a way through it or you don't, and these things become bottled up, don't they?
Well, we can take very simple steps, and from my cognitive behavioural perspective, it really is, and I'm in full agreement with Rob, it really is about the thoughts that we hold in our mind, and that really does fuel stress. So we can either tell ourselves, we can't cope, I'm finding it so hard I can't cope, or this is a difficult period at work, I need to make some changes so I'm performing better. What do I need to do? What help do I need to seek? Who do I need to speak to at work to get the support and resources that will help me through this?
And Rob, you'd advise people to do that, go and seek help, would you?
Yeah, if they need it, yeah, I think that the big thing...
Well, how do you know when you need it? That's the problem. You know, we've all had those moments at work where we think, I don't know, I'm going to get through this.
Yeah, it's when it becomes an ongoing problem that's coming back day after day and affecting your daily life. But some of it's about a reality check, because we look for evidence to support what we think. So if we think we're having a bad day, the slightest thing happens, we go, yeah, look, it was a bad day. It must have been a bad day because the guy knocked into me when he walked through the door, or whatever it might have been. And we look for evidence to give us that bad belief. What we need to do is sometimes take a bit of a reality check and say, really, is it that bad?
Well, that's in a way what Bradley Wiggins was talking about there, because he mentioned, didn't he, well, I've got my kids and that kind of thing. There are other things more important in life. And invariably, I think I've mentioned about 3 cliches in this discussion, but they're often truisms as well, aren't they? You know, and sometimes when you're stressed at work because a widget's not fitting the other widget, actually there are more important things in life than that widget.
Yeah, absolutely. And taking a step outside and just removing yourself. When you know that you're starting to get stressed out, you start to fizzle, and you know you start to feel you can't cope.
Yeah.
It's taking a deep breath. Maybe you want to get in a hot tub, in a clean hot tub, with a tin of beans. Not with him, but with a tin of beans, and just do something which takes you away from that situation, just for a minute or two, and then come back to it with a fresh pair of eyes. That's the key thing. It's not to get bogged down and get locked into that cycle of it's bad, it gets worse, it's bad, it gets worse. But actually take yourself away, take a moment, take stock of the situation. And you'll come back with a new look. OK, Rob, it's been really good talking to you. Thank you very much indeed. Jennifer, just before you go, a question to you. Rob, you can join in this as well. Do we say it's good to talk to people? There's another cliche, but it's good to talk. I should have a bell that I ring every time I say one. But do we say that? Share your problems, even if it's not with your boss, by saying you're stressed, just go out with a friend and just say, look, I can't cope. Because advice, other people's perspectives often help, don't they?
Yes, and I think it's a fine line, though, because we don't want people to fall into dwelling about their problems for hours and hours and really thinking about why is this going on, why can't I cope. We really want to get them to be more solution-focused. So, yes, it's very helpful to talk to people, but we want to move them into solving the problem and solving their difficult thoughts and feelings rather than staying in that rut. So it is important to talk, but we want to focus the talk on how to feel better and how to solve the issue.
Mind you, I'm always good at solving other people's problems when they come to me, but then I know at the back of my mind I don't adhere to anything I say. I just have the same problems.
Physician, heal thyself. I mean, it can be very cathartic, just offloading your problem.
Yeah.
As long as Jennifer said, you don't then spend all day ruminating and saying, "No, it's terrible,"
Yeah.
and actually look for a solution. But yeah, it can be just talking to somebody.
All right.
Can be the answer.
Well, I hope if you've got any particular stress at home tonight, let us know. Share the stress. Let's take a deep breath together. What's the stressful thing that's happening in your life at the moment? Share it with us. Text us on 85058. We're here to help. Jennifer Wild, thank you. Rob Woollen, cheers. Thanks very much for coming on the programme. It's been great. Right, lots to come on the programme tonight.